Hello everyone. I hope you are doing amazing today. Welcome to today's video. First story. My sister made the worst time of my life even harder, and now my mom expects me to apologize. How do I make her understand the pain I'm in? A few years ago, I was living overseas when I was sad by a stranger in my own home in broad daylight. The attack nearly destroyed me. I felt unsafe, dirty, and like I had lost all control over my life. I was living in a country where I barely spoke the language, and the chances of a guilty verdict in cases like mine were slim. Despite this, my attacker was caught, found guilty, and sentenced to prison. While it was a legal victory, the process was long and emotionally exhausting. After the assault, I suffered from severe PTSD, nightmares, and suicidal thoughts. At one point, I even attempted to end it all, but I was saved by a police-issued monitoring device. It got so bad that I couldn't live in my home and was temporarily relocated by my employer to secure housing. Eventually, I decided to return home to my own country to try and heal. I landed a job, started packing up my life overseas, and was in the midst of the trial when the fight with my sister happened. The fight. My sister, 33F, and I have always been different, but during this time she was constantly bombarding me with messages, upwards of 50 plus a day, asking for advice on a project at work. I told her repeatedly that I wasn't in a good place to help, but she kept pushing, expecting immediate replies, even though I was dealing with so much: PTSD, the trial, my own full-time job, and packing to move halfway across the world. One day, while I was on the phone with our mom, my sister messaged me asking if I'd heard from mom. I told my sister I was speaking with mom and would talk to her later. She didn't read the message and jumped to the worst conclusion: that mom was gone. She sent me a series of frantic messages, and when I responded that she was being dramatic, she exploded. She called me a psychopath, told me to go F myself, and unleashed a torrent of hurtful accusations, including saying I have zero empathy and that I was belittling her feelings. I tried to explain my headspace, how broken and overwhelmed I was, but she dismissed me entirely, telling me my problems weren't that bad and that she didn't care. I sent voice notes sobbing, begging her to stop, but she refused to listen. I blocked her and haven't spoken to her since. That weekend, I spent 6 hours on a bridge contemplating suicide. If it weren't for a helpline service and the police, I likely wouldn't be here writing this post. Present. It's been over 2 years since I've spoken to my sister. Earlier this year, we were both at my mom's birthday dinner. I was terrified but civil, though my sister and her husband ignored me. At a family event a few days later, I overheard them say I'd been rude at the dinner, which just reinforced that nothing has changed between us. My mom refuses to discuss the fight between my sister and me. She says she doesn't want to get involved, but has repeatedly told me that I should apologize if I want this to end. I've always been the one to extend the olive branch in the past, but this time I can't. My sister made the most painful time of my life even worse, and I nearly didn't survive it. I don't know how to make my mom understand how much her neutrality is hurting me. By refusing to listen or acknowledge what happened, it feels like she's chosen my sister's side by default. We were so close before, but this wedge between us is growing, and I'm scared it's going to break our relationship. If you've made it this far, thank you for reading. I didn't intend for this to be so long, but I'm just so lost. I don't know how to fix things with my mom, and I don't know how to make her understand that her decision not to take sides is breaking my heart. Let's take a look at what some users have to say. A user said, "I'm so sorry you went through this and are still receiving a complete lack of compassion from your family. As others have said, by expecting you to apologize to your sister, your mom absolutely is taking sides, and the wrong side at that. For the sake of your mental health, I would consider having one final shot at explaining to your mom why her refusal to back you is completely inappropriate, and if she fails to listen, go either low or no contact with all of them. I was in a similar position a few years ago, and I didn't speak to my family for 6 years. It was unbelievably hard, and I do have some regrets looking back, but I would also say that the overall effect on my mental health was positive and set hard boundaries, which mean that now we're back in contact. They know I won't hesitate to stop contact should they ever do the same thing to me again." Another user stated, I'm sorry, Op. Sometimes we don't get to have the parents we deserve, and that is so truly hurtful. Every time your mom starts in, if you are comfortable, say, Mom, I know you said you're not taking sides, so let's not make our visit about sister by bringing her up. Then if she continues, try, Mom, if you want to talk about this with me, you need to first truly listen to what I have to say. Otherwise, please stick to your decision to remain neutral, or I will be ending our visit. And then each time it happens, end your visit. The truth is, by continuing to bring it up, she is taking sides. If she was neutral, she would listen to you but keep her relationships with the two of you separate. It was never your job to do your sister's job for her, even without the heinous crime you suffered. Someone else said, You're not likely to get Mom to understand. You've tried. If she was going to, she would have already. If you want to see if the relationship is otherwise salvageable, you need to test her ability to hold a boundary. I would set a firm but calm boundary with Mom that the discussion is closed. Email, text, whatever. If she wants to get into it, I've explained how painful this is to you in the past. I'm not repeating myself here. I am only asking you not to talk about my relationship with my sister. If she persists, repeat nearly the exact phrasing and then refuse to engage by leaving or ending the call or not responding to the text. And then if she brings it up, end the phone call or leave. You can stay calm. I told you that topic is closed, I'm leaving. It may take a few times for her to get it. Think of this like dog training. Calm, consistent. Is she capable of respecting your boundary? Find out. There's no need for you to put energy into these encounters, though. It's an experiment. Either she can or she can't. I truly hope that everything works out for you and that you find the support you need. Always remember you are worth of loving. Let's move on to the second story. I hate myself because my boyfriend is too perfect. Any advice? My BF and I have been dating for 1 year and I just feel really dumb and pathetic in comparison to him. He is smart, kind, never gets angry, and is really sweet and understanding to me and to everyone he meets. And I'm starting to hate it. I feel like a shitty person for admitting this, but it's been weighing on me recently. When I get emotional, he's calm and understanding. When things are going badly, he focuses on finding a way to fix them. When I do something wrong, he sits us down and helps us understand each other and come to a compromise. He never jokes at anyone's expense. He donates to charity monthly and keeps track of how the charity is using the money. I can keep going. All of that, and he never brags and is always humble. He is perfect. And I feel like a piece of shit just by standing in his vicinity and being an average human being. I would be lying if I said I haven't been remembering previous relationships with other people and remembering seeing them be flawed, getting into stupid fights with them, and then making up and getting closer, and I honestly kind of miss that. Just feeling like I'm in a relationship with an equal who can fuck up just like me. The only aspect where I feel he's not better than me is socializing. He is extremely awkward around strangers, and so I would be there to help smooth out any social interactions we had together since I'm a people's person. But even that doesn't happen often because he's at home most of the time, works online, has a bunch of online friends, and honestly mostly socializes IRL when I am going somewhere and I invite him. Another aspect of it is that I feel like a child when he's around. When we watch movies and stuff together, I just start talking about what I think of the characters and the plot, and he used to logically disassemble what I said, but without malice, he would just counter everything I said. I explained to him that made me feel dumb, and of course he stopped, but now whenever I say something about a movie, I can see in his eyes that he wants to say something but he doesn't and just humors me. And it honestly makes me feel pathetic. And it's not just movies, he likes philosophy, politics, and science stuff, and whenever he talks to me about it, it's like he simplifies stuff because I don't know as much as him, but when he's talking to his friends online, he gets really into it. And I know that's not his fault, but like everything else when I'm around him, it makes me feel like shit. I asked a friend of ours what she thought because she dated him before we met, and she basically told me to get over it and that I shouldn't be wishing my BF was a worse person. I honestly don't know what to do with this. These things used to be green flags I would brag to my friends about, but now they make me feel inferior to him and make me hate myself because I feel bad that my BF is too good of a person. Let's hear it from some users. A user said, I dealt with something like this, but I'm on his position, just not as good as him. When my wife and I started dating, she hated how calm I would be on arguments. I told her that I wasn't raised in a house where people yell and get nasty towards each other. It just wasn't tolerated. I'm also just a more laid-back person. This issue only got solved when we went to couples counseling, and our counselor told us the way she fought in adolescence and in prior relationships was completely toxic and unacceptable. Sounds like you've trained your brain to listen, to respond, and to always have an argument ready. Everything could be made better by sex, gifts, apologies, whatever it may be. That's not really a healthy way to fight. Takes time to train yourself out of that. As for his charity, that's great. There's tons of ways you could give back to the community without spending money if it would make you feel better. As for dumbing things down, I 100% do this with my wife. She thought it was offensive early on, but appreciates it now. I had to explain to her that my interests, passions, and life experience was vastly different than hers. So when I see that she wasn't understanding what we were talking about, I tried to explain it in a way that was easier to understand. But I also totally expected her to do the same for me if I didn't understand something about her job or interests. Now we could talk to each other like the other is a complete idiot and neither of us would be offended. You sound like you're struggling with your self-image and who you are as a person. That's okay, it's not the end of the world. Therapy might really help you though. And trust me, do it before you lose him. Because if you keep building resentment towards him, he will become the villain, and you probably won't be able to course correct at that point. Another user stated, "You need to work on your self-esteem. Maybe you could enlist his help by asking him what he sees in you. Give him some notice, you can have a session of bigging each other up. He's not too good for you like you imply. But is he right for you? That depends. Do you enjoy being occasionally out of your depth in conversations, having a reminder to be a better person because you see the good in him, like with the donations or keeping calm? Or is it a problem of compatibility where you don't actually really enjoy the same activities and conversations? Personally, I find my partner is better than me at a few things and makes me better in those ways. When I feel at my worst, I worry he'll leave me because he's just clearly so much better overall, but when I think like that, I try to work on myself. I like being with someone who makes me want to be a better version of myself." Someone else said, "He sounds like my fiancé, except he wouldn't just counter everything I said. He likes to criticize movies for the fun of it, but he doesn't always criticize my ideas about the movies. Mine would prefer me to be more opinionated about movies. Are you taking his criticism of the movie personally? Don't. It's not personal if he's like mine. And get that self-esteem up. You aren't lesser. You are truly equal in this relationship if he has similar relationship values to mine at least. You don't have to be equally into his interests. Mine nerds out with one of his friends on space. I think that's fantastic. I like when he teaches me about philosophy. I find it fascinating. See if you can view some things as a learning opportunity. But I match him intellectually on politics and some science and other mutual interests. Also, do not idolize him. He is human and has his flaws. One of them is he seems to make you feel stupid. Part of that is your self-esteem, but part of it is him. Talk to him about this. If he's as great as you say he is, you'll work this out together. I am a better human being as a result of my relationship with my fiancé. Don't view it as a way of feeling less, but rather see if you can incorporate in yourself what you like in him. Mine has inspired me to be more giving. What about you? What do you think would be the best advice you could give in such a situation? Let us know down in the comments. That would be all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please share, like, and subscribe for more stories like this. I hope you have a wonderful day and always remember to be kind.